going to go. Jay likes the length. That's what she said. Welcome into Greatest Pod in the South, episode number 100. This is 120 of Greatest Pod in the South. And so thanks for being with us. I'm Neal McCready, JG Tate, Gabe DeArmond here on a Sunday afternoon. We're going to talk about what happened in the SEC yesterday, another interesting day in the league. And we'll talk about other stuff as well. First, I want to tell you that we're brought to you by Automation and Control Systems, LLC, owned and operated by our buddy Clay McNutt in Baldwin, Mississippi. Clay's the Beast of Baldwin, established in 2013. ACS is a complete electrical control system solution provider and a Rockwell Automation recognized system integrator. ACS has a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff and a UL 508A panel shop. They can custom tailor software packages, custom design electrical control panel solutions, and much more. It's a full-service AutoCAD services provider and a full-service fiber optic cabling solution provider. If you're in need of custom HMI and SCADA solutions or large horsepower VFD specialists, ACS has you covered. ACS can service and install Rockwell Automation, Allen Bradley, Siemens, ABB, Square D, and many other manufacturers. For more information or to get in touch with ACS, go to acsllcms.com or call 662-601-4381. I'm coming to you from the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900 is that number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do. Let's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Gentlemen, how are you?
What an incredible opportunity to be here on the show with Gabriel DeArmond and Neal McCready. I got some bad news for you, Neal, though. My daughter goes to South Alabama, and they beat Monroe's ass last night. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, it felt like South Alabama held on every play, and the officials just didn't call it. I found out later that all of the officials are from the greater Mobile, Baldwin County area, so that was just a total –
oh, it is.
That was a total screw job. The Warhawks, part of the problem that we're having this year is because of COVID, we're having to do so much of our research virtually, and it's just been a real strain on the young men.
Sure, understood. And then my alma mater, myself, University of Kentucky, went to Columbia. And as I understand it, this has not been widespread reported, but I believe they were undermined by certain elements of the Columbia community. There's a lot of bad people that live in Columbia, and I think they may have poisoned Kentucky or said some really mean things that affected Kentucky. And the Tigers won, and I don't remember seeing anything in Power Mizzou's coverage about this at all, Gabe. How can you speak for this?
I mean, I can't speak for the Columbia community because I live in Joplin. Everyone there is I'm big fans of. So, I've actually spent most of the last 18 hours just researching Louisiana, Monroe, and South Alabama. Oddly, this is the first I've heard of them playing. So I guess my research wasn't very good. But I'm poring over water skiing rankings right now. So
we're number one.
Yeah, I think it's one of like six. There's one. I think like Cal Poly is in there. Florida Gulf Coast, maybe.
They're the kings of the Ouachita. I mean, I think everybody knows that. So don't you dare get in the Ouachita with the Warhawks. They're going to do some damage. But I'm surprised, Gabe. You guys wrote about the game. Missouri beat Kentucky yesterday, 20-10. But no mention in anything you wrote or anything that Mitchell Forty wrote about the undermining and nasty stuff that they had to deal with in Columbia.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Okay.
My apologies. I just, there's only so much you can do. You're limited on column inches and stuff here on the internet.
Yeah.
They limit the number of words they want you to write. I think it's 240 characters per article is what you're allowed these days. So. My fault.
There was hate speech in Columbia, and the Kentucky young men were victimized by that hate speech, and no one's wrote about it there because that's the way the Mizzou journalism school teaches.
Yeah, protect Mizzou is all they do. Protect.
It's your agenda. You don't write about it.
Said things like
turn I didn't anticipate.
They said things like Calipari's a fraud.
Yeah,
Tubby Smith didn't deserve that national title he won in '98. We haven't forgotten a lot of mean things like that, and it's just typical Missouri, honoring.
The best thing I actually saw was Mark Stoops, I guess, said after that game, we beat him last year without a quarterback, so we felt pretty good because of the fact that we had two this year, but it didn't work out.
Pretty crazy day in the SEC, honestly, guys. And all three of us had a chance to watch our teams play, or the teams we cover is what I mean by that. I mentioned earlier that Gabe watched the Missouri Tigers defeat Kentucky. And as you said before the show, Gabriel, I mean, the secret to beating Kentucky is just don't give them any extra chances, right?
You don't throw the ball to them, and you're good. Also, making them throw the ball is a good strategy. Because they only completed 4 of them all day for, I believe it was 47 yards. It's not the most exotic passing attack I've ever seen, but it was a weird game. So Missouri ran 92 plays and Kentucky ran 36. I think time of possession was 43-17.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Missouri ran, Larry Roundtree himself had 37 carries and Kentucky ran 36 offensive plays the whole day. If you look at the box score of that game, you would think the score was 45-3.
Wow.
Missouri had a 21-play drive that didn't get points because they went for it on 4th and 1 from the Kentucky 6 and didn't score. So they held the ball for like the last, 5 minutes of the second quarter. They held it for the first 7.5 minutes of the third quarter. Kentucky went 3 and out, and then Missouri held it for like 4 more minutes. I mean, Kentucky ran 3 plays in like an hour and 20 minutes.
Good golly. And remember, not too long ago, we were talking about how Eddie Gran, a friend of Neal and I's, was doing such a great job as offensive coordinator at Kentucky. And it's like, you don't know about that now, huh?
Yeah, I don't think he's the most popular guy in Lexington today.
I guess not.
Yeah.
I've never seen a disparity like that. I've never seen a disparity like that. 92 plays to 36 is unbelievable.
Yeah, even Drinkwood said yesterday, I've never been in a game like that. At one point, Kentucky, mid-third quarter, Kentucky had run 23 plays total, and Missouri had run 21 on one drive. I mean, it was –
wow.
So let's get to the important question for you here, Gabe. Now that Missouri has won a couple of games in a row, is there any talk about extending the coach, giving him a raise? What are we? I mean, we must. No, I'm serious, Jay. I mean, if you win 2 in a row, you never know what might happen. I mean, he's under a 6-year deal, so I think it's time to extend that out to like 26 years.
Yeah, there is.
Very clearly, it's going to be hard to keep him.
There is talk of that on my message board. I don't know how familiar you guys are with college football. Jimmy Sexton clients are notorious for saying, I know I have 6 years and $24 million guaranteed left on this, but can we just sign something that locks me up for longer? I don't need more money. I just want to be committed to you guys for longer. That's how Jimmy operates with athletic directors across the country.
Yeah, you got to see what he does with presidents when he's going directly head to head with those guys. Auburn people know all about that.
Yeah.
He's the one who engineered that 7-year, $49 million albatross that Auburn people are lamenting. Dude, I was going back through here on the Missouri thing real quick. In the second half alone, I mean, the play count was 13 to 50. What?
I mean, Kentucky didn't have a passing yard in the second or third quarter. Not 1 yard.
What the world?
I've never seen anything like that at the SEC level, at least. I mean, I guess, if you told me that like Tennessee played Kentucky, Wesleyan, A&M or something, I guess something like that could happen, but not in an SEC game.
I think it was like the fewest plays Kentucky had run since 2011. In that game, they lost 54-3. This one was somehow like Kentucky had the ball within 7 points in the fourth quarter in this game is the amazing part.
That is incredible.
Yeah. So we all thought Arkansas was going to be absolute trash, and they're a solid football team. They're a respectable football team. I thought Missouri was probably going to be, I mean, Vanderbilt's the worst, but I thought they'd be right there. And Missouri's a credible football team as well. Are we surprised by this?
I mean, I'm surprised by it, especially after the first 2 weeks when they didn't look like they much knew what they were doing. But I think, seriously, you take teams 3 through 13 and throw them in a hat. And it just – here we go. I mean, I'm actually surprised. Lines just came out. Missouri's a 14-point underdog at Florida next week, which surprised me that it was that much.
I like the Missouri quarterback. And Roundtree's a good back, and they've got players.
Yeah, Nick Bolton's a good player. This year's weird, man. I mean, like every team – something like – isn't it 10 of the 14 teams have already lost twice, in the league?
Is that true?
Yeah.
I think so.
Auburn's lost.
They've only lost one, or have they lost two?
Two.
Three. Okay.
Auburn's lost two, and
yeah,
could have lost 3 or 4 even.
Yeah, here we go. Joseph Goodman from AL.com can start writing about how Auburn's, don't even deserve to have the wins they have. Which, I mean, I don't really have an opinion one way or another, but Auburn won the football game yesterday, and it was a good game.
It was exactly what I thought it would be. I thought one team would get into the mid-30s, the other team would have a chance to get into the 30s, that it would be close, it would be decided late, and I thought Auburn was just going to be a little too much for Ole Miss, and that's exactly what happened. Here they're hung up on one of two things. You talk about fans. So 2 weeks ago, Ole Miss fans were where Auburn fans are today. I need to turn myself down, Jay?
You're good.
Okay. Two weeks ago, Ole Miss fans, after Ole Miss had beaten Kentucky, and then after Ole Miss had played Alabama very respectfully, at the least. I mean, Ole Miss was tied with Alabama 42-42 in the fourth quarter, more than Tennessee can say today. They were ready to proclaim Lane Kiffin the czar of North America, and I was getting mailbag questions. Do you think he'll leave for Texas? Do you think? Oh yeah, no, I'm totally serious. Do you think he'll leave for Texas? If LSU fires Orgeron, will they go after Kiffin? Is Auburn going to try to hire Kiffin? Would Tennessee try to hire Kiffin back? It's like, whoa, hold up, settle down. And now 2 weeks later, they go to Arkansas. They don't play particularly well, and they lose. And the fans, because I think they view Arkansas as this just trash team, they're mad about it. And then yesterday, they lose to Auburn in a close game, and now they're mad about play calling. They're mad about clock management. Look, there were some mistakes. They're mad about this quarterback thing. There's a conflict on this quarterback thing. Like, I think Kiffin's making a mistake by playing 2 quarterbacks. I think Corral's fine and he needs to play him. They bring Plumlee in, but Plumlee's a fan favorite. Corral's from California. Plumlee's from Mississippi. So the older hardline fans, frankly, are mad that they don't have the program that they used to have, right? They don't have the access they used to have. They don't have the old-time reporters telling them how good everybody looks on Tuesday. And, boy, he's so-and-so is really looking good. The boy's really working hard. Going to get it. All that's over with. And so you don't have that level of access. And Plumlee's not playing, and there's rumors about Plumlee transferring potentially to Southern Miss at the end of the season, whatever. And then you've got the penalty, the muffed kickoff that I'm not sure whether it hit the kid for Auburn or not. I think it did. I think it hit him.
I couldn't tell. I'll be honest. I watched that just as totally impartial. Like, I didn't see any, whatever they called on the field was going to stand, right?
I don't know. So here's where I think Kiffin was upset that there wasn't any more of a review.
Yeah.
And when I say upset, he didn't seem upset. He asked about it, and he's like, we looked at it and nothing happened. And then he sees on the big board that it kind of looks to him like something happened. And he's like, I don't know how you could review that quickly. It's my opinion that what happened is and Jay, you were watching too, so you feel free to tell me if I'm crazy. What I think happened, Ole Miss had just scored to go up 28-27. And they kicked off, and I can't think of the young man for Auburn's name. He played
Shivers. Sean Shivers, Mighty Mouse.
So the ball goes right by him, and the official closest to it didn't signal anything. Shivers looks at the official like I didn't touch it. The ball rolls into the end zone, and you see the field judge coming from the other side, and he's apparently blowing his whistle and doing the touchback sign, right? And so everybody kind of the Auburn kid stopped, and I think Tylen Knight for Ole Miss jumped on the ball, and there was this argument about whether there would have been a touchdown or not. And what I think happened is when the officials in the booth saw that, they're like, we're not going down this road again. Let's play. Let's go.
Yeah, I didn't think he had a good angle. What we needed was an angle from the end zone, either looking directly, at his backside, or the other end zone looking directly at his face. Just getting a side shot, trying to figure out if that ball hit his thumb or his pinky. From the side, you can't tell. I couldn't tell.
Yeah. I was surprised that it wasn't a longer review where they looked at it. But I think they were afraid. I believe this. I think they were afraid that if they got into a review, there was going to be an early whistle. They weren't going to be able to establish whether the ball got recovered or not. There was going to be all these problems. And I don't think they wanted to do that 2 weeks after they'd had that problem with Auburn, Arkansas on the missed call on the Knicks fumble.
Interesting.
Well, the problem still to me with this whole thing is what the replay rule is. It defaults to the call on the field being right. And I've never understood why when you look at replay, if you say, yeah, look, we can't say for sure, but there's got to be, it looks like there's like a 90% chance he probably touched this ball or he didn't touch the ball, whatever. Then why can't you make that call? Why do you have to say, well, we think there's a 90% chance he touched it, but the call on the field was that he didn't touch it. So because it's not 100%, we're going to go back to that. You know, I think the replay rule is kind of messed up. It doesn't use logic, really.
Yeah. I just didn't really see much point in this, but yeah. And when they reviewed it, I was kind of surprised they were reviewing it. And then I was kind of doing the play-by-play call the way that Neal does and Gabe does too. So I don't have the sound on the TV. I'm just kind of talking myself. And I could see they were showing the replay like 5 different times subsequently. And I'm like, whoa, they're still going on this? And I guess Jordan Rodgers or whoever was just getting a big, hot and bothered about it. And I understand Ole Miss people are upset about it because Jordan Rodgers is absolutely convinced that he had touched it. But
I mean, it's one of those calls, kind of like the Penn State, Indiana thing. Whichever side you're on, nobody's going to convince you that you're wrong, right? Ole Miss people are sure the kid touched it. Auburn people are sure they didn't. I have no dog in the fight, and I have no idea if he touched it or not. And I don't think there was a camera angle that says he did.
A lot of Auburn people were wishing that he did touch it and ruled it because I think they saw a potential path to.
There's the avenue to get rid of our.
There's
coach.
The axe. Someone grab it.
I'm saying.
Here's what's going to happen pretty soon, guys. So clearly,
hold on, Gabe. Let me ask this, Jay, because there's a rumor out there, and the way you just reacted to it, I'm starting to think maybe there's some validity to it. There's a rumor out there that had Auburn lost yesterday, Gus was not going to make it through the week.
No, he was going to make it.
Okay.
But the pressure was going to be on, and I would have started getting my coaching hot board together. I promise you I would have done that. I mean, we've already got an outline. We always got an outline ready to go, but yeah, if he had lost that game to go 2-3 and lost at Ole Miss, and no disrespect to our friends at Rebel Grove or Ole Miss fans in general, I mean, just to say Auburn doesn't feel like they should be losing to Ole Miss right now. The machinations would have been in motion, but he would be the coach. There's no reason to run him. The program's not toxic, and even if they had lost that game yesterday, it's still not a toxic program. You don't fire your coach in the middle of the season unless it's really toxic.
See, here's my thing about Ole Miss, and their fans are frustrated because they're excited about Kiffin. They got excited about the Kentucky game. They got excited about the Florida game, really. They got really excited about the Alabama game. I mean, it's 49-45. Alabama with, 5-6 minutes left. That's a hell of a performance. And I think they thought, here we go. And it's like, okay, but you might regress a little to the mean. And that's what's happened a little. They lost that Arkansas game, and that pissed them off. And then yesterday, and maybe this is because I just don't do a good enough job of saying, hey, here's the deal. Like, I look at Ole Miss's defense, the personnel, and I say, how many of these guys would play at Auburn right now? I think Williams would play, Sam Williams, the outside linebacker, 13. He made some plays.
Oh, hell yeah.
He would play. I think Jalen Jordan, the defensive back, number 2, I think he'd play.
You've got a defensive lineman that would play for sure.
Which one?
I don't remember which one he was. He made some plays yesterday, and Auburn's defensive linemen don't make any plays.
Yeah, but my point is, I don't think many of the Ole Miss defensive guys would play. And on that final drive, Ole Miss has had some injuries. They've had some COVID issues on defense. On that final drive, they had a way down the road reserve running back and a way down the road reserve wide receiver playing defense against Auburn on the final drive.
Ooh.
Okay, so if that's where you are as a program, you've got to be pretty pleased that, in my opinion, in this season, whoa, you all right, Gabe? You gonna make it?
Yeah, we're good.
Got attacked by a mic there.
Had some sort of issue there.
You got to be pleased.
that should sound good on the audio.
Yeah, you got to be pleased that you played Florida well, you played Alabama well, now you've played Auburn well. Those were games that you didn't play well last year. Those teams blew you out last year. They didn't play Florida, but Florida would have blown them out. And so I think you are making progress, but what they see is 1-4 And it's like, okay, well, are we losing all of our momentum? No, I mean, it's going to be judged on recruiting. I mean, Lane Kiffin and that staff are calling kids right now going, you can play. I mean, you can play here. And once we get some more players here, we're going to get it done. We're going to move up and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, you don't fire the coach because everything's going great. You fire the coach because it's not going well and you're not where you think you should be and you've got to make a change. And Kiffin's that change, and you come in and within months, there's 3 months, there's a COVID thing and you can't recruit and you can't have spring. I mean, all that stuff. And then they get mad at you like you're making excuses. Well, I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you the way it is.
Yeah, they don't really understand where we're coming from. And I think it goes for all of them, really. I mean, some of them do, but the same thing happens to me where I'm like, hey, they won the game and here's, 4 or 5 things they did really well yesterday. And everybody's like, shut up. We don't care. It's like, come on, man. They're in the scoreboard business and they won the game and they fixed a lot of the problems that they had in the South Carolina game. Particularly Bo Nix played the best game of his career.
Yeah, I thought he played much better. He had 2 or 3 really good throws and made some plays with his feet. I thought Morris did a good job of calling some plays that took advantage of Nix's athleticism. And Bixby's a very good back. They used him a lot. They used the other kid a good bit. Williams is terrific, and he made a couple of plays. Like he made a play deep down the field at the 1 yard line, and then he made a play on the touchdown that ultimately won the game. Sometimes you just let your great players make great plays.
Yeah, your safety, the Ole Miss safety misplayed that in such a bad way. I mean, I just don't know if you ever get over something like that. Like, he overran that so bad. Like,
he's not. I don't think necessarily that he's an SEC player, and so that's where. My thing with when I say to Ole Miss people, like, well, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to make any judgment at all until I see what the roster looks like in a year, until I see what the roster looks like in 2 years.
That's fair. And that's totally fair.
And they view that as, well, you're taking sides or I don't know. It's a weird thing. They get angry. And I know it's easy to take out that anger at me or you or I mean, everybody's mad at Gabe and nobody likes him anyway, but
sure.
It's easy to do that, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's kind of is. I mean, you went 4-8 a year ago. You're playing a 10-game conference-only schedule. If your expectation was honestly that you were going to win 6 or 7 of those games, that's on you.
Other news in the SEC, we've talked about the Auburn-Ole Miss game, which is a fun and crazy one. Missouri-Kentucky sounds like it was pretty straightforward. Just kind of ramming it down Kentucky's throat and watching them choke and just couldn't breathe, rather, I should say. Alabama-Tennessee, which none of us covered, but Alabama absolutely crushed Tennessee, and they even lost Jalen Waddle. It sounds like he's going to be gone for the year with a either fractured or broken ankle.
Yep, first play of the game. Very
weird question. Well, not the question wasn't weird to Saban. The question was about the injury, but Saban's answer was weird when he's like, he should be running it out anyway. Like, because he had caught that. He fielded that ball in the end zone and was running it out. Or close to the goal line, and Saban was like, he shouldn't run those out anyway. I mean, I don't know. Like, kind of almost blaming the kid for that injury, which I don't necessarily think that's what he was trying to do.
That's not great.
It's not a good look.
Are we seeing some of the first signs of Nick Saban turning into an old man?
Well, I mean, he is an old man. I mean, really.
But acting like one now. I mean, that was
a little bit.
That was not a thing to say about one of your better players who's been great for your team and your program and all of those things. I mean, that was not a sign of – I know he subsequently said some nice things, but that was not the sympathetic, empathetic thing that he should have said.
Yeah, I don't want to give him too much trouble. He's probably just, coming off the field. Mac Jones had a good day, 25 of 31, 387. I think a lot of people are surprised by how good he is. I am one of them included. I mean, he's playing behind Tua last year. And you're telling me this guy is a potential SEC player of the year. I mean, was just chilling on the bench.
He should be. And he very well might be. He should be right now a leading, if not the leading candidate for the Heisman.
Interesting.
Look at his numbers. They're fantastic.
Yeah, I don't go too deep into it with the Bammers. Najee Harris had a solid day. I mean, yeah. Looks like they really killed him through the air, though. So there you go. Alabama with the class of the league. And Tennessee, as Gabe mentioned earlier, you've got this group of teams on, I guess, about 10. They're just kind of in that middle area. And Tennessee's another one that looked really good 2 weeks ago, and they've fallen back a little bit. we'll just kind of have to see in the next 2 or 3 games, who's going to kind of sort themselves out. LSU, South Carolina threw me off a little bit too.
Well, hold on a second. I'm going to do this on Mac Jones because I'm not going to let you pass that quickly. I don't have the issue with the Bammers that you do, so I'll do this. Mac Jones has thrown for 1,905 yards, 12 TDs, 2 picks. His QBR right now is 96.6.
I mean, is that good?
Second in the country.
That's good. Yeah.
He throws a beautiful deep ball.
He is 115 of 146, completing 78.8% of his passes.
Good.
His I don't know how they factor the whole rating thing. His rating is 212.8, which is off the charts.
That's pretty good.
Yesterday he was 25 of 31, like you said, 387. Just efficient as hell. QBR yesterday 96.2. He's played 5 games this year, 95.6, 94.9, 97, 97.8. and 96.2 are his quarterback ratings. That's remarkable.
That's pretty good. Well, I'm looking at Alabama's PFF, which I don't ever look at theirs. My God. I'm used to Auburn's numbers, And Alabama's numbers are really, really good. Let's see how Mac Jones has been great now.
They've already played A&M in Georgia. It's not like they've just fattened up on complete weak sisters.
I mean, his lowest grade this year in a game for Mac Jones is 83.1, which is really, really good. I mean, if you're grading over 90, you're playing at a very elite level, and he's got 3 games over 90. In fact, yesterday they only gave him an 86, which is still really good. But wow,
they're quite good.
Yeah, they're really good. I mean, that's not breaking news or anything, but
right. And again, that gets back to college football's problem. Like, it's October 25th or whatever, and I can tell you the 4 teams that are probably in the playoff. I can definitely tell you 3 of them.
Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and
probably Georgia.
No, Georgia's got to beat Alabama. If you told me today that there's a second SEC team in the playoff, I'd tell you it's A&M.
Oh, get out! Stop.
No way.
Who's going to beat it?
Anybody? I don't know. Those guys are no.
Yeah, somebody.
A&M. Is there a new school in the league? Is it Nebraska A&M?
Then it won't be an SEC team because there's
then it won't be.
Exactly.
So, but who's the
Georgia would lose to Alabama a second time. The only way Georgia gets in is if they beat Alabama.
Probably, yeah.
And Georgia's not as good as Alabama right now.
No,
they're not. And maybe they will be with JT Daniels, but they're not right now.
I mean, then we're getting into Notre Dame, which has a loss, maybe 2 losses to Clemson. Like, there's going to be a bunch of teams with 2 losses, man. What, you letting in a 6-1 Big Ten team?
No
over
way.
9-2 Georgia?
Has Oklahoma State lost yet?
No,
Nope.
they haven't.
No, let's go through
I bet Oklahoma beats them at the end of the year, though.
your top 25. The very top teams in your top 25 as of this morning. We talked about Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame's 4. But we never know with Notre Dame. I mean, they just completely demolished Pitt yesterday. But I mean, who cares? Georgia, as we mentioned, Oklahoma State undefeated. Cincinnati was having to grind that one out against SMU last night, but ultimately prevailed. A&M. I guess I got to take some of those laughs back at you, Neil. They are ranked number 8.
Here's my point on A&M is if they don't lose again, and they've already played Alabama. If they don't lose again, they're not going to go to the SEC championship game because they won't win the West. They'll be 9-1. Their only loss will be at Alabama.
But what's their best win?
Well, in this scenario,
Florida?
they'd have wins over Florida. They'd have wins over Auburn. They'd have wins over LSU.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well,
who's the fourth team?
I hate the idea that 9-1 A&M would get in over 9-2 Georgia just because A&M didn't have to play Alabama again.
Georgia would have lost twice to Alabama. They can give them a third shot.
I mean,
Let's take a look here at A&M. They got Arkansas at home this weekend coming up. Then they're at South Carolina, at Tennessee, home against Ole Miss, home against LSU, and at Auburn to finish.
I mean, which one of those teams stands out and goes, oh, boy, that's trouble?
Yeah,
I think they'll lose one, though. I mean, I just don't believe in A&M good enough to run the table.
I mean, which ones of those games would you bet on them losing? I mean, they're probably not losing to Arkansas.
Dude, it's still A&M, Neil. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, before you start getting carried away here.
No, I get it, but I kind of disagree with Gabe when he goes 3 through 13. Everybody's the same. I don't think so. I think A&M and Florida are better than 5 through about 9 or 10, and then
maybe.
right now, I think there is some separation. I think Missouri's better than Ole Miss, for example. I don't think Tennessee is in that mix of a hodgepodge. I think Tennessee's bad.
Really?
I feel like Tennessee beat Missouri.
Early. I think they could do it again.
Yeah.
And I do think, and Auburn people who are listening to this are going to get pissed, but I think Auburn's better than they've showed so far. I mean, they were the better team in Columbia by a significant margin. I was shocked by how much better their talent was than South Carolina. They lost the game. 3 interceptions will do that. But they were better than that team.
South Carolina's not good. They went down to LSU and got skull drugged.
I know.
Up quarterback.
They're probably the bottom half of that little group we were talking about, the middle group, but still. I'm
curious to see South Carolina and Ole Miss in a few weeks.
That should be a good game. I like that one.
That's a game Ole Miss can win. It's a more winnable game than Auburn, and Auburn was a winnable game. I mean, Ole Miss had a shot to win the game.
Shoot, they had more than a shot. If Yeboah catches that pass, it hits them right in the numbers. Ole Miss might has a chance to get back on a run here, though. I mean, at Vanderbilt, you got to feel pretty good about that one. South Carolina at home, I feel good about that one from an Ole Miss perspective. Then you got at A&M, then you got Egg Bowl, and then you got at LSU.
I mean, they could go 3-2 in that stretch pretty easily.
Yeah, and if you told me before the season 4-6, I'd say take it.
So I mean, that'll be 3 Mondays where Lane Kiffin needs an extension and 2 Mondays where he gets fired. It's going to be a weird deal. Just extended him and then fired him 2 weeks later and then rehiring him.
I get people who get mad at me when I refer to this as year 0 for first-year coaches.
Oh, I can see why that pissed them off.
But I do think it's year 0. I mean, are you judging Elijah Drinkwitz on this season? Are you judging Sam Pittman on this season? It's certainly not in a negative way, right? You're like, oh, they might be doing some good things, but who knows? I mean, this was so abnormal of a year. Because in a normal year, for a new coach, early in the season, you get a couple of games like against
Alcorn,
Middle Tennessee or Jackson State or something. You're getting some W's, getting some numbers. Well, now it's hard to get a W in this league. I mean, Ole Miss has already played 5 games, including 3 against teams that are considered, some of the elite in the league, Florida and obviously Alabama and now Auburn. They beat Kentucky and they lost to Arkansas, and I think if Ole Miss played Arkansas 10 times, Ole Miss would win 6 or 7 of those games.
Agreed.
But, that doesn't make it a complete shocker when one of the 3 times that you wouldn't beat them is what happens. I think if Ole Miss played Auburn 10 times, Ole Miss would win twice.
Yeah, 3
times. So, didn't quite happen this time. They probably do a little bit of a break on the other end, and maybe they pull off an upset and beat somebody. But when you're that anemic, and they are on defense, it's hard to win games. Your margin for error offensively is so small.
See, Missouri's got some tough ones coming up at Florida, this weekend. That could be tough. At home against the Georgia Bulldogs. And then after that, it eases off a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a tough little middle of the season, though.
Yeah. But really, Missouri's first 6 games, I mean, you were looking at 1-5, 0-6 was real possible. Now the worst they're going to be is 2-4. So they're ahead of where most people thought they were going to be.
Word.
Some of these lines for this week coming up are crazy big. Like Georgia and Kentucky, I guess this one's not that big. I might take it right now. Georgia's opened at 14.5. It's now 16. Georgia favored at Kentucky. I'm not sure Kentucky can score on Georgia, like at all. Memphis and Cincinnati will be a good game. You got to sign off? Gabe's got to go.
Yeah, I got to go. Sorry, I got something I got to deal with.
Get out, Gabe. You're out. Bye. That's Gabe DeArmond. He leaves. It's just Jay and I now. That's okay. I'm looking for a couple of these, Jay. Let's see. LSU and Auburn opened at 1. It's now even. That's the 2:30. That's the CBS game, right? 2:30.
It is indeed. That's a pick 'em at Auburn. So normally, Auburn generally plays LSU pretty well in Auburn. They have a real hard time in Baton Rouge, but in Auburn, yeah. If we talked about this a week ago, I would have said that Auburn, I felt like they would have been a touchdown or 10-point, not a favorite, but I think they would win that game by a touchdown or 10. But, man, they absolutely killed South Carolina last weekend, and that was with their backup quarterback. They may have found a stud right there.
He was
And-
really good last night.
Woo, you're right about that. I mean, they scored 50 something on South Carolina.
They've got athletes all over the field, man. I mean, I know they're not what they were a year ago, obviously, but they still have a load of athletes on that team. It makes you wonder how that happened against Missouri. It's one of the reasons I think that young quarterback from Missouri might be better than we think he is. That's going to be LSU Auburn will be a really good game.
Dang. Yeah, Basilak from Missouri. He's a really good player. And then Miles Brennan has been great for them, but then he's out, and they go to their backup, TJ Finley, and he was he was just as good.
He looked the part yesterday. They're saying Brennan's still the guy. But
yeah, LSU's got problems, but Miles Brennan and TJ Finley, they're not part of the problem. They are part of the solution. So
their problems are in the secondary. They have breakdowns just all over the place, and it's going to be an opportunity for Bo Nix to go win a game, but he's going to have to build on what he did in Oxford. And they've got some edge guys. They can get at you. LSU can, that defense. They're just not what they were. But Ole Miss goes to Vanderbilt. That line opened at 17. It's now 18. Ole Miss favored on the road. Mississippi State goes to Tuscaloosa. That line opened at 32. It's down to 31, but still, wow. Alabama, 31-point favorite. Arkansas is at Texas A&M. That game opened, Aggies favored by 11.5. It's up to 12.5 right now. Missouri's at Florida. It opened at 11.5. It's at 12.5 right now. And I think those are the only SEC games. Well, those are some big lines. Goodness.
yeah, big lines. It's weird to only see these handful of games every week.
Yeah.
This week we had 5, I think.
Four SEC.
4. I guess we're getting back into the swing here, but Auburn's going to be off the next weekend, so I guess they'll kind of power down for another week after that.
Yeah, Ole Miss is off next weekend too.
Yeah, I think the best matchup there is LSU Auburn.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. The rest of them are potentially blowouts. I do think Arkansas Texas A&M is an interesting game.
It is.
Arkansas's got some confidence, and they usually play A&M pretty well. We'll see. A&M looked really good the last couple of weeks. So if they step up and pop Arkansas, that's something to take note of.
One thing I love to take note of is Cathead Distillery, makers of fine spirits, delicious spirits that I like to drink every week, in fact. And they are champions. In addition to being great distillers, they are also champions of independent restaurateurs throughout the Southeast and bar owners. You can check them out at your local liquor store with the Cathead vodka, which you can find pretty much everywhere. The Blue Cat, the Honeysuckle vodka, which has the Gold Cat logo on the front. You can find that pretty much everywhere. I know here in my town, people snatch them up, but they are around. The Pecan vodka and the Old Soul 90 proof bourbon whiskey, which is what I like to drink. It's a great daily drinker. I think they also make the Bristow gin and the Hoodoo chicory liqueur. There is talk going around. There are going to be some store picks throughout the Southeast of the Old Soul.
This is true.
So I'm looking forward to that, getting my lips wrapped around some of that barrel pick stuff, some older, more aged Old Soul for sure. But check them out. Lots of good stuff going on there with Cathead Distillery. They're good folks who are kind of pushing a new product throughout the Southeast, and I think that's worth your time and your buying decisions. If you go to your local restaurant that you love dining at and they don't have Cathead products, ask them for it and demand that they serve you a Cathead. Up at my bar here in town, the Tipping Point, they definitely have the honeysuckle vodka to go in those delicious beverages, and I have some here at the house as well. Check them out on the website at catheaddistillery.com. And again, good guys making good products. Enjoy them.
We're also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. They're based in Madison, Mississippi. They've got clients in multiple states, advisors in multiple states as well. Founded in 1997, Pinnacle Trust, man, what they do is they just sit down with you. They listen to you. They say, hey, what are you trying to do? What do you want your retirement to look like? What do you want to do? That kind of stuff. And then they just make a plan. It's built just for you. They don't have some pre-made plan that they force you into. They just listen to your goals, study your expenses, and they put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan that's built just for you. It's pintrust.com, PINNtrust.com. Tell them that you heard about it on the podcast, and you'll save 10% off your first year's fees. And we're brought to you by our friend John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis, Tennessee. If you are thinking about getting out holidays, maybe you want to plan a trip just to celebrate, the end of 2020. Maybe you're planning something for next summer and you just want to blow it out because this summer got screwed up because of COVID and all that stuff, get in touch with John. Now's not a bad time to do that, in fact, because there are a lot of bargains out there that he can find that you probably won't find on your own, because a lot of these places don't want to advertise just how cheap they're willing to go. John can do it. All you got to do is give him a call, give him an email, give him some parameters, give him a budget, and he'll give you choices that, again, you can't find on your own. And no, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387, or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about how fickle some fans are. The Ole Miss people are the ones that you deal with the most, but that's a common thing to hear about. And it's interesting. It affected Dabo Swinney. They beat, Syracuse 47-21.
Yeah.
Yesterday, and the questions that were coming through on the Zoom, were kind of like, hey, you guys started really slow. What's the deal with that? And he says, quote, I just want to make sure I'm at the right press conference here. We did win the game, I think. Am I in the right spot? You don't usually score 47 points if you don't have the right energy. So, I mean, he's kind of feeling it too. And, I mean, even Clemson folks, they're the best program in the country right now, the strongest, and they just keep rolling like a freight train. But, even Dabo has to answer questions about why aren't you guys exactly where we want you? And they get a little bit antsy about it.
It's so funny. We spent an entire summer going, if they'll just play, I won't say anything. Just play. just have a season. It'll be what it'll be. I'll judge it differently, all that stuff. And nope, right back to where we always are, which is, why are you not perfect? How come this has not happened immediately? And when can we fire you? And or when can we extend you, because we're afraid that since you did well this week that you're going to leave us for the next pretty girl. It's remarkable.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of where we are. But Dabo, I mean, he's got perfection. I mean, that's kind of what they're expecting there, I think. I remember when I was a student at Kentucky when they were having their great run where they went to 3 consecutive national championship games in 96, 97, 98. They lost a game at Ole Miss in 97 or 98. It was the 97-98 season. And I mean, it was a big deal. It was like, how could you possibly lose to Ole Miss? That was a good Ole Miss team, by the way. And it was like,
those were Tuberville's teams. They were good.
Oh, I'm talking about basketball, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kentucky, no, football didn't go to Final Fours. But they went down there in an ice storm and lost to that Ole Miss team that was really good. Had Michael White and Ansu Cisse and those guys. Anyway,
Carter and all those guys, yeah.
It was like the end of the world at Kentucky. It was like, oh, my God, this Kentucky team, Rick Pitino managed to lose to Ole Miss. Are we sure he's the right guy? And it was just like he lost his mind. Like, what are we, the Chicago Bulls all of a sudden? We can't lose a freaking game? He was actually said a bad word. And, yeah, people just kind of get going. It's good. Coaches hate expectations, man. They freaking hate them. And the good news, at least from an Ole Miss perspective, is that at least there's expectations,
They're absolutely expectations. They're probably a little unrealistic right now, but they're there. I think Kiffin's going to do fine. It's my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I do too. Any rational human being says, yes, they're going to be fine. They're fine right now.
It's what's funny. People who look at it from outside go, oh, wow, he's really made strides with that program already. I mean, they already have a different look to them, a different feel to them. And it's a scoreboard business. And, man, people just get worked up. Speaking of scoreboards, did you see the call from Game 4 of the World Series last night with the what's his name, Brett Phillips? He had the hit into center field that scored the tying run, and then the center fielder made an error. Then the catcher made an error, and the Rays scored the game-winning run to even up the series. I've always been a critic of Joe Buck's. His call on that play was fantastic.
No, I didn't hear it.
It was really good. It was apparently a great game, but that game started so late. I was long gone by then.
Me too, man.
We signed on at 7-something, and then didn't.
Yeah, tell me about that. I think Courtney and I were talking about this. So why do you start so damn early? What are you doing for 3 hours?
Well, a lot of the early stuff is pre-recorded. We have 2 or 3 other shows that we tape late in the week. They've already been up, but I'll just put them in the stream just to kind of build the program and give people something to watch if they want to have something on and for background. And then we do our pregame show for 2 hours, and then we do the show. And then we did postgame last night till, I don't know, it was 5-something.
So that's probably what, 10 hours for you guys?
We were just shy of 10 hours.
Wow. I mean, I go 7 hours and 15 minutes yesterday, and I felt like I did a full day.
I was tired when it was over. I mean, I was kind of mentally shot. And then I had to get up today and knock 10 thoughts out because I wanted to get 10 thoughts done before we did this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I get to like Sunday after. I'll be honest, man. I'm looking forward to a week from today. I guess you are too, because we'll have an open date. And I'm planning to back off a little bit on the open date and chill some.
Yeah. I'm going down to Destin. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm going to chill with my homies. It's good to do some of that.
That's kind of the best time to go to the beach too. I mean,
yeah, the prices are really good and it's not jammed up. And, I'm not a beach guy per se. I just like going down there because there's stuff to do, but I don't really hang out on the beach anyway.
Yeah. I'm
there to, hang out with my hopes, my peeps and kick it, just do the thing. Anyway, it's a good show. I wish that we had.
Maddie doing okay?
Oh, she's doing better than okay, dude. She's having the time of her life. She went to the game last night, like I mentioned, and she was having a great time there. So she loves one of her things when she was looking at college. She really wanted to go somewhere that had football, and I mean, Ole Miss was a finalist for her. She would have a great time there too, and South and Transylvania University. No, didn't have any football.
They built a facility right there on campus, right? They're not playing at Lad Peoples anymore.
No, yeah, this is the first year they had their on-campus stadium, and it's like right behind Sorority Row, so she can just go hang out at the Cayo house and just bounce right over. It's probably a 5-minute walk, if that.
How big's that stadium? Like 30?
It holds 25-ish. Yeah,
it's perfect.
It's nice. It's great. It's right where it should be, and it's really a credible, nice facility for South Alabama.
Yeah, and that's a cool part of Mobile where that campus is. That's neat. Like Lad Peoples is it's number one. It's completely across town from where USA is, and then it just doesn't have a lot of charm to it. It's an old, beat up. It was built for like high school stuff, and
those days are over, bro.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
But I do want to say this is me sounding like an old man though, and I'm glad my daughter's having the time of her life so far at South. But I worry a little bit about the academic side. I know nobody cares. You just want your daughter to go somewhere and fit in and have a good time. And my daughter's doing that, and your daughter's doing that. And, I mean, it's all systems go. But I just wish that she was getting a little more academic value out of what we're doing. She says it's just really easy, and
I got to tell you, man. I'm not to get on this topic or whatever, but I heard from some other parents that are friends of mine that responded the same way. So Campbell, as you know, is a sophomore at the University of Arkansas, and we got the email from the chancellor. It was all about COVID, and hey, we're a little concerned because not enough kids are testing, and here's where they can go test, and encourage them to test. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I responded. I said, so I'm a little concerned that this feels like, hey, let's get a bunch of tests so that we can get a bunch of positives so that we can justify another semester of this. Because like you, I don't think Campbell's getting the education right now. Not the grades, the education that she should be getting and that we're paying for. I don't think we're getting our ROI right now. And I don't agree. A lot of you out there will disagree. A lot of you will agree. It's okay. We've politicized the hell out of this thing, and you probably know where I stand. I don't think you can justify, based on knowing what we know today, a virtual only spring semester. I don't think it can be justified. And so, but if that's what you're getting at, and boy, it's amazing. You send those emails and no one responds. And it tells me everything I need to know. And I think we're about to do this all over again. And I don't, for the life of me, understand where it ends. Does it end next fall? What do we do this again next fall? Does college become everyone's just virtual? Now, I give kudos to Auburn. It's my understanding that at Auburn, the spring is going to be almost exclusively in person. And if that's the case, man, congratulations to the people at Auburn University for doing what is the right thing for young people.
Yeah, they're still undecided at South. I mean, I bet they have some ideas, but I'm not the kind of guy that's going to send emails. I mean, we're just going to kind of go roll with the punches on that.
Well, I usually don't send the emails, and this time I did. I didn't like the tone of that email from him. It was more of a, hey, encourage your kids to go get tested. And it's like, no, I'm not telling my kid to go get tested.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I don't know that I trust the procedures to test. I don't know that they're not out hunting positives or hunting false positives.
I talked about this like 6 weeks ago, man.
It
on the
bugs
show.
me. It bugs the hell out of me.
I told you that those kids, the last thing they want to do is go get tested. Like, they're not going to do it. Like, they're just not going to do it. Like Maddie's had some friends that had COVID.
Yeah.
And they didn't even go test because they just didn't want, they know what to do. Like, I'm going home.
Do you blame them?
No, I don't. No. When I first heard about it, I was a little bit ticked off. And then when Maddie explained to me, like, look, I don't need them to tell me that I've got to go quarantine here and this. We know.
Well, and if they do test, then the school launches into all the searching for
the tracing.
Who did you breathe on? Who did you spend 5 minutes with? Who sat next to you when you had lunch on Tuesday? And then all those people got to go quarantine. Well, kids don't want to do that to each other.
That happened to Maddie. She had to quarantine over. She was close to somebody that had it. She still hadn't had it.
It happened to Campbell, and Campbell was literally quarantining with people who had it, and she still didn't test positive, which tells me, and I've asked a couple of medical people who know, and they told me the same thing. They said, well, it's one of two things. Either she'd already had it, or she has what they call T-cell immunity, which they think like 40% of the population literally can't get it. They basically have T-cell immunity or whatnot. And then you have people like me who've already had it, and I can't get it again, at least for a while.
Word. I just don't want to go down the COVID rabbit hole with you.
I'm not.
You get too worried.
Well,
too fussed.
I get, but people, my problem is, my only complaint to people when they say that I'm whatever is it's not about me. I could stay here. I don't do anything. I don't go anywhere. I don't have many friends. I don't. So the whole, well, you're bitching, you're being selfish. I'm literally upset for people like your daughter and mine because I want them to be able to go to class, and there's no reason for them not to go to class. Young people are just not, people, when they get sick, they're not getting hospitalized sick.
No, there's not one case at Auburn that's been hospitalized, led to a hospitalization for a student. Well, none.
There's a thing out there. It's like up to 80,000 cases now. They've picked universities, big and small, all over from the Northwest to the Southeast and all points in between. And it's 80-something thousand cases, 3 hospitalizations, no deaths. All right, well, now, holy hell. And you get these people that go, well, but if they get it and they bring it home, well, then don't bring it. Don't send them home. Get them on the campuses where they're not going to be home.
All
right. Yeah.
I still want to get you going.
It's dumb. I don't know. It's dumb. It truly is dumb. But I'm hoping that when the election comes and goes, no matter the result, that maybe we kind of move past it. But I thought that for the longest time, Jay. I thought that November 3rd would be the end of it, and I no longer think that.
Well, yeah, it's not going to be the end of it. But, I mean, I think we're already, first of all, I don't really want to rehash this too much, but it's already getting better. I mean, we don't have a vaccination path yet, but the treatments are working.
Yep.
I think the more we learn about it, we see that it's, in most populations, it's just generally not a huge problem. It does kill people. There's no doubt about it.
Sure.
And if you've got serious comorbidities and you're older, like our friend Philip Marshall's not been out of the house except to drive through at the Walgreens since this started. But now he's an overweight 71-year-old male,
heavy smoker most of
at one time for a long time in his life. Yeah. So he knows if I get this, I got a real problem. So he's staying in the house.
Yeah.
And I know that you're not in those situations, but you still stay in your house just for the most part. Maybe that's just kind of because you're a hermit anyway. But
I mean, my deal is I don't really have anywhere to go anyway. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't faze me. I mean, I could stay home 30 days in a row and be fine anyway. I mean, I go to the gym. That's about it. I don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I'm thinking about not doing that. I don't like going to the gym anymore. I go in there and I just get a real ski feeling. But I live my life normally now. I mean, we go out to eat probably twice a week. I take my mom. She's 75-ish. She goes. Nobody gets sick. Everybody's fine. Wear a mask. Wash our hands. Everything's good. Not trying to blame the people who have gotten it and people who have gotten sick. It's not your fault. I'm just saying. We've not had any trouble with it. But that's just one person's experience, and that's why I don't go out there and rail about anything. I'm just telling you how I justify it in my own head.
Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap it up there, Neal McCready.
Happy Halloween to everyone. Next time we get together, it will be November the 1st. So enjoy your week. Happy Halloween to all of you. For Gabe DeArmond, for JG Tate, thanks again to the people at ACS. It's ACSLLCMS.com. They make this happen, and we certainly appreciate them. So until next Sunday, have a great week. Stay safe. Take care.